Well, there is a new political poll out that shows here in Wisconsin, Democrat Barack Obama leading Republican John McCain. That seems to be the trend in the polls.
That could all change with tonight's debate. JS on air now. We're joined by Journal Sentinel political reporter Greg Borowski. Greg, so who has the most at stake tonight?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that John McCain will have the most at stake when they get together this evening in Nashville, Tennessee. There's an adage in politics that a week in politics is like a year. However, I don't think all weeks are created equal. As we get closer and closer to the election, I think the pressure is really on the candidate that's behind and perhaps underperforming in states. So I think for John McCain, it's really one of his few remaining opportunities to really reframe the debate, to get things back on a footing that he's more comfortable with, and a real chance to get voters to compare the two side by side to sort of reinforce questions he's raised in the past about Barack Obama.
Now the format tonight is going to be sort of a town hall meeting, which John McCain has historically been pretty good at, but I'm thinking the people that are going to be at this thing are going to want to talk about the economy, and that is not a winning issue, or at least it doesn't appear to be for John McCain at this point.
Right, that's the overriding issue of the election. I mean, if you went back 6 months ago, you might not have guessed it. I think John McCain probably would have wanted more of a foreign policy bent to things, but that's the hand they're dealt with right now. As you mentioned, John McCain's much more comfortable in a town hall format like this than in a more prototypical debate as they had the last time. It's a little dicier proposition there to make attacks on your opponent because you really are charged with answering the question of that person who's right there in front of you. And usually these questions we found come with stories. My son was sent to Iraq, I'm having trouble paying the mortgage, my health care is bad. So it's a little harder for the candidates to wander off and get in the attacks they want. But I really think you'll see an aggressive John McCain and probably a reasonably aggressive Barack Obama as well.
And Greg, sometimes, watching these debates, you talk about wandering off. Sometimes the answers, too, tend to sort of go one way or another. You kind of get lost in the question-answer period. But as a viewer, what should people out there really be looking for? What kind of questions, what kind of answers should they be focusing on?
Well, first, of course, they should look for as much specifics as they can get, and if the person is answering the question so they can build their own knowledge base about it. But tonight, I think, is really about the tone of how the candidates come out. You've seen on the campaign trail in the past few days that both sides have been more aggressive, more personal, more sharply negative. It's a little harder to do that in an in-person setting like this because your opponent is right there to answer back. But a real question is going to be how aggressive is John McCain, how aggressive is Barack Obama about raising these points that they've talked about on the campaign trail.
That's Greg Borowski, an outstanding political writer for the Journal Sentinel. Thanks for joining us, Greg.
Okay, thank you.
And you can read more about the issue at jsonline.com. We have a link on our website, today's tmj4.com. I'm sure Greg will have a byline in tomorrow morning's paper. Absolutely.